the last live stream of the season here because unfortunately, the breaking news is the NBA has suspended the season. So no more basketball, and that means that the Spurs season has come to a proverbial end. This is a shocking development that has taken the sporting world by surprise. We all did not expect this to happen. We're all in shock about this, and I really have no words at this point. I really can't say anything. It's to me this is like history in the making because this has never happened before. To my knowledge, that they suspend the NBA season due to this virus that's run rampant here across the globe. So, what were your thoughts, Stephen? I mean, I know I was in shock.
Yeah, for first, Joe, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I always set my mood lights here in the back to whatever the mood is during the game. Now I have it red because basically everyone's on red alert right now with this virus going on. So my thoughts were when it first came out. Okay, so basically I'm gonna be truthful with you. I was watching The Masked Singer, so
Oh
I was watching
my.
I was watching celebrities in costumes, just sitting. I was enjoying life for a couple of hours, just enjoying life, and all of a sudden I see H.R. Wojnarowski tweet out that the game has been suspended or postponed in OKC, and I was like, okay, that's weird. Like, did somebody get hurt? Was it like an arena issue? And then I see a member of the Utah Jazz may have tested positive for coronavirus, and I was like, oh, expletive. That's not good. And we find it's Rudy Gobert. And Rudy Gobert, and I believe it's another player that were feeling ill, quote unquote ill, for a couple of days. And is Rudy Gobert tested positive? Now we don't know the other player if he's tested positive or not to this point. But when they introduced, they announced, I was like, yeah, season has to be canceled or at least suspended or something. In yesterday's Spurs game, Pop and all the guys were 6 feet away from the media, and just as precaution. And
Yeah.
so, I get it. I completely understand it. It is the right call to make. I I'm a little sad because I mean we love you and I we love talking about Spurs, we love talking basketball and all that, but player safety, health of the players, health of their families, health of everyone that works in the arenas, everybody's health first before anything. And let me just say this, Joe, real quickly.
Yeah.
Um, Too many people I've seen online on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, like all that, saying that people overreacting to this and they're blaming the media for hyping it up and all that. I feel like if this was not a real big issue, you wouldn't see the NBA be canceling games. You wouldn't see scientists and don't go into big crowds because this thing is turning into a big thing. And in Washington D.C., you're having the death toll is rising as we speak. It's rising right now, and people think it's affecting only elderly and people 65, and that's just wrong. That's not true. It's actually affecting everybody. Mortality rate is higher when you're 65, but if
Yeah.
someone my age who's close to in his 30s get it, I can survive. But the effects I'll have afterwards is something that unspeakable. Because just for those who don't know, the coronavirus is not the flu. It is something more dangerous. It is a respiratory infection that affects your lungs and it will give you long-term lung damage or long-term lung issues after you heal from it. So dangerous, and because older people, pre-existing conditions, all this type of stuff factors into that, it just makes it worse and worse and worse. So you see, the Houston Rodeo was canceled. South by Southwest was canceled. The just canceled. I would be very surprised if the NHL and Major League Baseball did not cancel their seasons as well in the next couple of days, the next couple of hours, maybe. This thing is serious, and I think people need to start taking it more serious than it is. I've seen so many people saying it's not the video, just wash your hands, do the common sense things. But Joe, let's be real. How many people do you know actually would wash their hands after leaving the bathroom? I mean, I'll be honest.
Not very many.
Sometimes exactly. There's been times where I just forget to do it. I'm in a rush. There's it happens. So tell them to do it, but are they really going to do it? And that's where this fear comes in. That's why you don't want to be around these big crowds right now. The NCAA is also going to may just cancel their tournament altogether. They announced earlier they're not going to have fans at all. They may just cancel it altogether now. I mean, it's just a massive time right now that we're living in.
One thing that I'd like to touch on here too. The biggest dumbass of the week is Rudy Gobert, man. I'm like, dude, what the
Yeah,
hell's wrong with you? I'm looking at the
yep,
video as you're talking.
yeah.
I have Twitter pulled up on my phone that's right next to me. And he touched all the mics, kind of mocking the coronavirus. And this was, I believe, a couple days ago. And now
Yeah.
he shows up to the arena with testing positive for the coronavirus. Maybe you shouldn't have touched all
I
those
will
damn
say he did
mics.
not. Well, yes, he should definitely should have done that. I mean, I know LaMarcus Aldridge was joking yesterday with Spurs PR. Hey, is this 6 feet away? Like he's messing around. You can joke like that a little bit, but when you're Rudy Gobert and you literally touching things and you are feeling, even if you don't have the virus, you're just feeling sick in general. You should be touching things. And number two, and just to correct you, Joe, he was not at the arena actually. He was at a hotel. He had tested positive for the virus earlier in the day. That's why they kept him at the hotel. My thing is, and I was talking to you about this off before we started the show. Why would Utah even allow him to be on the plane to come to OKC in the first place, knowing if he had it? That's what
Yeah,
doesn't make sense to me. If you even if you don't know he had it, but you're suspecting he may have something, whether it's the flu, the virus, a cold, whatever, and you know this virus is out there, why would you even risk getting him on that plane and affecting the entire team, the staff, whatever? Who knows who else came? I'm assuming they're all teammates, so you know they came into contact with him. Whether they actually have it or not remains to be seen. We don't know. I don't want to speculate, but that risk that you're taking, that's a bigger dumbass, Joe, to me, is that entire decision to put him on
yeah.
that plane to begin with.
Well, here's the latest information that I can gather from Chesapeake Arena. One of the reporters out there by the name of Tony Jones is tweeting out live tweets right now, and he says both teams are and locker rooms are currently quarantined. Nobody has left Chesapeake Arena, and I don't anticipate anybody's going to be leaving Chesapeake Arena.
Mm-mm.
Not in a normal vehicle. They're probably going to be taken to some type of a quarantine facility
Yeah,
and be looked upon there by qualified staff because God knows that they don't want to put them in harm's way with other
yeah,
people and that could contract the virus and spread it. But it goes to show you the danger of having that many people in a confined space at any sporting
yeah,
event and how quickly the virus can in fact spread. And if you're just there in that vicinity, you have a high likelihood of contracting it and then infecting your loved ones. So
exactly, exactly. And
I
that's
think
that's
they
what's
did
so
the right
scary.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
they did the right thing and suspending the season, even though it's going to upset us and they're going to lose a ton of money. The safety of their players and not only that, but the employees, the families, and all that is at top priority. And the game of basketball, at the end of the day, it's just a game. Everybody needs to take the precautions they need to ensure that they don't contract this deadly virus that's run
Yeah,
rampant out there.
yeah. Right now you're having schools. For example, we're here in San Antonio, and like all the San Antonio schools around have canceled, or excuse me, extended their spring break. All the colleges, I should say, have extended their spring break an extra week. All classes will be online for the rest of the semester. So that's another way to get. Well, I mean, just to make sure you're safe as possible. I know for you to know this, and people who watch the show regularly know I am a University of the Incarnate Word alumni. I am currently getting my master's degree from UIW, so that's a little bit of a concern for me as well, to where I work with international students on a daily basis because I work in the international office
Oh
and
yeah.
people who come from other countries. So that's a little bit of my situation where I am concerned, to where I don't know if I'm going to go to work next week because I'm a student worker and there's a whole situation going on. But getting back to the sports issue, Texas Longhorns just announced that they are going to hold their spring game without fans, without media, just the staff that works at the school staff will be there. It's just a bunch of scary situations right now, Joe. You have the NHL most likely going to suspend their season or do whatever they need to do with them. Major League Baseball. I cover San Antonio FC soccer. It would not surprise me if
Damn.
SAFC canceled season or had games without fans in
Yeah.
general, because it's getting scary now to where
And
legit. No, I'm
SAFC
not even.
just started. They just kicked off their season last week too.
They did, and I mean that's what's so scary, right? And I know that SAFC is supposed to be traveling this weekend to Colorado.
Oh
Whether
yeah.
that's still happening or not, I don't know, because everything's up in the air right now, considering what's going on
Yeah.
in the sports
Yeah.
world. And seriously, I went to HEB today. You cannot find hand sanitizer anywhere. You cannot find hand soap, Clorox,
Why you need some,
nothing.
bro? I'll sell you some for $200. It might be the Hill Country Fair, but it's still good, bro. Does the job. It does the job.
It does, it does. But that's what I'm saying. It's like people think, oh, it's overreaction, and maybe a little bit it is. And you want to say blame the media? I don't blame them. There's a reason for this quote unquote overreaction. Is people don't do what they normally need to do. Wash your hands. Don't touch your
Yeah.
face. Don't bite your nails. Don't pick your nose. Do I mean seriously? It's the little things that you learn in kindergarten that are the issue right now. And there's a meme on Facebook. I actually shared it. I was like, did you not know not to pick your nose or wash your hands or I mean to do all this stuff in kindergarten and this is like a big deal.
Yeah.
You're not doing this before. I mean, it's shocking how it takes something like this to put a little small thing into perspective that everybody should be doing to begin with.
Yeah, but check this out, man. The NBA cancellation's really upsetting us. But again, we said, it's probably in the best interest for everybody's
Yeah.
protection to go ahead and do this. Rudy Campos, our good friend Rudy Campos of
Oh
Sweep the League,
gosh.
he just stated right now he puts the greatest defensive player of the game. He shut down the whole league. Rudy's just joking around. But he says the Kings and Pelicans game has been canceled. He also says Fred
What?
Hoiberger has just left the Big Ten tournament and heading to the hospital. He was
Oh
feeling
no.
sick, just reported.
Oh
Joanne
no.
Hernandez, she puts, thank God San Antonio hasn't had a big outbreak. We haven't had one yet, but we're
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
everybody's trying to take the precautions not to further spread this coronavirus. Tim Rodriguez on YouTube, he puts, Joe, the cancellation is ass. It is, man, but at the end of the day, it's meant
Yeah.
to keep everybody safe. One of the guys from Bucking Spurs podcast, Robert Trejo, is a good friend of ours. He puts, in an hour, it was Tom Hanks and his wife, then Rudy Gobert, then the NBA
Oh
season. What an hour, you know? This has been one to
yeah.
remember, to say the least. But we also had the other
Yeah.
guys that were joking aside, and I even put this out on Twitter. I said, let's go ahead and finish out the rest of the season, the NBA season, on NBA 2K20. Who's with me? You know, and other people were saying, well, at least the Spurs playoff hopes are still in. This playoff streak is still intact because the season came to an end. But the question
Hey,
is too.
technically, yeah.
Yeah, it technically is. But the big question was, what are they going to do as far as crowning a champion? Do they not crown a champion this season, or they just go ahead and give it to whoever had the best record? We don't know.
I mean, you don't know. And I mean, that's the thing, you don't know. And I mean, you and I were talking about this before the show started. You had mentioned you give it to the person with the best record, and that's something I agree with. I mean, if you are going to crown a champion, you give it to the team with the best record. That's the Milwaukee Bucks. They've been the best team all season. However, I don't think they are going to crown a champion, to be quite honest with you. I don't think they are. Um, they may just have this. Remember that lockout year? They did half the season. I think that's what this is going to be. It's going to be half the season, a little bit more than half the season be played, and that's it. I don't think because I mean I don't I think a lot of teams would be upset if they did because we could have won. The Clippers might complain or the Lakers might complain or whatever, but if you are going to, it should be the best team in the NBA, and that is Milwaukee. I agree with you. I just don't think they'll do that because too many, how those stars are, the NBA stars are, their egos are so fragile. And they'll complain the smallest little thing, how it's rigged or how it's not right or it's not fair. So that's the reason I think they might go against it. But I do agree that that's what they probably shouldn't do is give it to this team with the best record.
Yeah, and our good friend Jeff Garcia, he just went ahead and put something out here as far as the statement from the NBA, and it just states, NBA to suspend following season following tonight's games. It says NBA players test positive for COVID-19. It says New York, March 11th, 2020. The NBA announced that a player on the Utah Jazz has preliminary tested positive for COVID-19. The test result was reported shortly prior to the tip-off of tonight's game, and between the Jazz and the Oklahoma City Thunder at Chesapeake Energy Arena. It said at that time, tonight's game was canceled. The affected player was not in the arena, so the affected player wasn't in the arena at the time that they went ahead and canceled the game, which begs the question: why are they quarantining both?
Mhm.
Both locker rooms. Is it maybe that they're afraid that he was in contact with the players, and since he had that contracted the COVID-19, the coronavirus, now essentially they had already contaminated the arena. You know what I mean? So as a precaution, they probably are keeping both, locker rooms quarantined as a precautionary tale just to test them to see if anybody has tested positive for the coronavirus.
When they released, I actually got the email, the press release email, and I was like, oh, a Utah Jazz player has tested positive for COVID-19. I'm thinking, just say Rudy Gobert. I mean, we all know it's Rudy Gobert.
They already
It was
said it
him.
was him. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, no, they said that before the actual email came out. So I'm like, we all know it's freaking Rudy Gobert. Just say it's Rudy Gobert. Come on. We all know it's him.
Yeah.
But it's just I do think though that's why you saw there's reports I think from Royce Young who said officials were running from the back of the
I
locker
saw
room
that.
area. Yeah, and I'm like, that's why. I was like, before it was confirmed that he tested positive. I think we all obviously with the news of the virus out there, you thought it was that, and it was. And I'm thinking that's why you don't want them to affect the arena seats that the players sit in or the locker room. And Gobert got into contact with his teammates, so they're all going to have to be quarantined, all going to have to be tested. And I mean, I wonder now because Chesapeake Arena is obviously used for the Thunder games. They're obviously not going to have any events there because of you don't want to be around big crowds. Are they going to turn that into a quarantine center for these players right now, and not just tonight, but for the foreseeable future? Maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows?
One of the things that I did tonight, I reached out to my one of my good friends over in Tokyo, Japan, Taro Katani, the biggest international super fan that I know. The number one Spurs fan from Japan. He was scheduled to come over here in April to finish watching the last three games of the Spurs season. Unfortunately, it looks like that's going to be a no go since the rest of the season has been called off. I mean, there's no real reason for him to come down here and risk, either contracting or spreading
Right.
anything, whatsoever. I just told him he needs to stay safe and wish him the best out there right now where he's at. He's over in the other side of the world in Tokyo, so it's scary, man. A lot of things have been happening over there,
Yes.
which he kind of updates me on, from time to time, and
Mhm.
it should be a scary scene out there, where he's at, especially. So,
Yeah.
everybody just stay safe, man. It sucks that the season came to an end. I hate that it ended this way, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. We live in crazy times right now with this stupid
Yeah.
coronavirus running rampant,
I
so
will say this, though. I will say this. You talk about what's going on in China. Look what's going on in Italy right now. The entire country is shut down.
dude, I know
Uh,
they were showing video of it earlier on.
yeah.
I think it was ABC News that I was watching, and the
Yeah.
streets look like a ghost town. You barely see anybody out there walking around.
Yeah. So the same virus that's over there in Italy is currently here in the US. Not as widespread, of course,
Yeah,
but some people have that virus here around the US, and they're going through that in Italy. So you're telling me, not you, Joe, but people out there who don't think it's a big deal, look what's going on in Italy and tell me that's not a big deal. When the entire country shuts down, when you have all this stuff going on, you think the media's hyping it up. There's a reason games are being canceled. There's a reason that game tonight in OKC was canceled, and the reason why the NBA is canceling or suspending their season, to use the official term that the NBA is using, um, to do this because this is a big deal. You want people to be safe. I mean, Joe, I want you and your family to be safe. I'm sure you want that from mine as well. I mean,
yeah.
you don't want a situation like to get bigger and bigger and bigger to where it affects everyone around the U.S. And I mean, it's getting pretty close to affecting everyone around the U.S. And I hope to God that doesn't come to that.
Well, you had this 13 minutes ago. With the NBA season suspended until further notice, you had Vince Carter, which, probably this, was going to be his
Oh
last
no.
game. So what he did is he checks in and he drills a three in the final seconds with the Hawks, So that's probably going to be it for him. That happened like 13 minutes ago. I'm seeing this tweet via Sports Center. So you have that. And then we have Adrian Wojnarowski, of course, who was reporting the first one that I heard that reported that
Mhm.
the incident with Rudy Gobert, and also he was one of the first guys that I noticed that tweeted out that the NBA had in fact suspended the season. So he dropped
Right.
two Woj bombs today. We're not even in the off season yet, so
Yeah.
that's it's been an odd hour. I kind of had a feeling that this might come down, but I thought it was going to happen tomorrow because the NBA had a meeting with the owners earlier today, and they were supposed to have another meeting with the owners tomorrow to actually determine what was going to be the recourse of them moving forward. Were they going to just go ahead and have the games played, but to an empty, with no fanfare? In other words, they're just going to be playing to empty arenas with no fans in attendance. But given what happened, I mean, I think like we said, they made the right call. The season comes to an abrupt end. It is what it is,
Hmm.
Well, we got to look forward to next season, Spurs fans, and hopefully, we'll fare better then. It's been a crazy season, and what an way to end it. I mean, of all
Yeah,
things, who would have thought that this is a way that the NBA season would come to an abrupt end, Steven? I mean, I couldn't have thought of a weirder
I
way to
know.
end it.
It's crazy, and I mean, you. I understand. Like I said before, I understand why they're doing it, and I'm happy they're doing it. I'm happy they're canceling every event, cancel every sporting event. You want people to be safe, but at the same time, Joe, you're right. I thought to end on a scary note where you could possibly be infecting an entire team, an arena of people, another team for that matter. I mean, who knows? Who knows what this is going to turn into? And we don't. You don't know, and I don't know.
Yeah, we
But
don't.
to end it like this, it just feels weird. It feels weird to end it like this. Like literally, the Spurs played yesterday,
Yeah, we saw their
and
last game yesterday,
and they won.
and they won.
So they ended it on a winning streak,
Yeah, no
a
doubt. Hey, it
streak
was
of
a
one.
one game win streak, but they ended it on a win streak.
Yeah,
Damn it. They sure did.
yes, they did. Yes, they
So,
did. So you know what? They win the title for them. How it goes,
hey,
Joe. We'll see how it
some
goes.
people were saying that right now, and it was making me laugh on Twitter. They said the Spurs won their last game of the season. They should be the champs. Some Spurs fan was putting that out there. I thought it was comical. But we're gonna go ahead and
Yeah,
bring
but I
this
mean,
we're gonna bring
yeah.
this episode to a close here, Steven. So before we do, go ahead and let the people know where they can see all the great content you got cranking out, not only for Project Spurs, but for the Project Spurs network. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interesting write ups coming soon, pretty through the pipe, pretty soon here for both networks.
Oh, yes. Okay, so obviously we're in a standstill because the NBA season is off. So I'm gonna use it to let everybody know that Project Spurs is going to have a very slow rollout of content over the next couple of weeks because we got this virus thing going on. But ultimately, Project Spurs will be taking a break from cranking out your Spurs content because, well, there's no Spurs games to talk about. There's no games, there's no news to write about really because of what's going on. For the Project Spurs Network, you guys can find me on Twitter at I cover everything from San Antonio Rampage for now to San Antonio FC for now. Who knows what's going to happen with the sports I cover? Who knows if this it, we seasons for them? But of course, you can find all of that on my Twitter account and Facebook and Instagram. All the Stephen A underscore. We'll say just a quick note, Joe, that I actually moved my TV content to my combine my sports and TV content together now. So just in case a situation like this popped up, and it has, you can find my TV coverage of all your favorite TV shows on there as well. So let's chat some TV, some Spurs, some coronavirus stuff. Who knows? Well, who knows what we'll talk about? But you guys can follow me on there.
Yeah. Well, one more comment here from the Budo Money over here watching us on YouTube. He says, "Good thing is no more Forbes." And the truth says, breaking news. It says National Guard is on high alert. Washington
I
State and New
know.
York will be under pandemic quarantined or martial law. Tim Rodriguez puts, "At least we don't have to watch Benanelli play like ass anymore." Well, that there you have that as well. So maybe we've already seen the last of Forbes and
Yes.
Bellinelli for the foreseeable future. We don't really know what's going to happen with DeMar DeRozan either.
Before we get out here, Joe, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think, with all what's going on right now, that the Olympics will still be played this summer?
Nope. I think they're just
No.
going to go ahead and wind up canceling it. They can't postpone it. I think they're just going to have to
No.
cancel this because they don't know how far this is going to extend. So I think it's just going to be canceled for this year, unfortunately. We'll see if they're going to even have the Winter Olympics because they take a what is it, a
Mm-hmm.
1 year hiatus. It's
Mm-hmm.
like the Olympics ends and then a year after that, then they have the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's a bummer because of all those athletes trained so hard, to compete, at this stage and at this high level. And unfortunately, because of what's going on right now, they're not going to be able to go out there and compete. So it sucks, man. But I think
Crazy.
this is a turning point for all of us to really open our eyes and see, hey, man, this thing is no joke.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
with that said, go ahead and make sure you check out projectspurs.com and also projectspursnetwork.com. And also make sure you check out the little website that I got called twoshotspodcast.com. We're going to still start cranking out some episodes here because we're going to have our last roundtable discussion of the season coming up probably later on this week. We'll bring on some guests so we can talk about the ending to the Spurs season and what do we think is going to happen moving forward. So look for that episode and that live stream coming up sometime later on this week. So for Steven Anderson, I'm Joe Garcia. Thank you for watching another episode of the Spurs Takeover. And like we always say, spread the love, stop the hate, be kind.